guys for coming to this session on Kurzweil training. Before we get started, I'm going to pass out some documents. This one is the teacher's guide. It'll just basically go over everything that we are going to do today. And then this is a student guide you can give to your students. I only have one for you guys so you can make copies for your future.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, before we get started, I'm going to have Mr. Buchanan come up and explain to you all what this really is.
Kurzweil is actually a read-aloud accommodation. You can fulfill a read-aloud accommodation without an IEP. So on a read-aloud, it doesn't matter whether the computer's reading it, a CV's reading it, or you're reading it. Kurzweil is a scan and read program. What that means basically is if you can scan it, Kurzweil translates those pictures and looks at that picture. So when the scanner scans something, it's taking a picture of that document. Kurzweil looks at the picture and finds all the known text that is on that picture. And it organizes it and it reads it aloud. So you see the exact image and it highlights and it reads it for you. And that's what Kurzweil does. Dr. Kurzweil holds the patent on the scanner. It was a spin-off technology that he invented trying to make a reading machine for the blind. Kurzweil 1000 is a reading machine for the blind. CV Wonder was his first client. You can put it anywhere you want on the Xerox machine. So even if you Xerox it upside down, Kurzweil is going to recognize that it's upside down. It's going to flip it around the right way. It's going to highlight it and read it to you. We have a network version of this. So all our licenses are up on a server downtown. So what we install on your guys' laptops and desktops is the client. So when you open it up, you have to go check out a license. So you're borrowing a license for that time that you're using it. When you close out, that license goes back up. We're sharing 80 licenses throughout the city of the black, white, professional. And black and white literally means black, white. It's not grayscale. So if you have a science textbook that has images in it, it's going to eat them alive. It's literally black, white. It's meant more for text documents where you just have plain old text. We have, show the drop down, click on the drop down. We have 12 copies of the color. The only reason we have 12 is because nobody has a color scanner out there. A few of the elementaries have a brand new scanner. Some of the new Canon replacement ones do in color. If you could get it in color, that'd be the best way to do it, like a science textbook. We have 12 of those. We have 300 of the Learn Station. All 3 of these are installed on your computer when it gets installed. You choose what license you want. The kids use the Learn Station. It can't look at a PDF and find all the words in it. So it's missing that software. So it doesn't have the ability to convert anything and read anything. You have to, as a teacher, have to convert it for them, then they get it. And that's why we have 300 licenses for that. It's $1,800 for a color copy. It's $1,400 for a black and white, and it's only $300 for the student one. So that's why we have a lot more students than what we have. It's just easier to give the student one out. So you get to choose, though, on any computer here, a student could choose black and white. Even though when I install it on a computer that I know is going to be just for kids, I make the default one that pops up be the Learning Station. The 80 would go away quickly if we did the default as the black and white and had 80 kids to log onto it, then you wouldn't be able to log onto it as a teacher. So we make theirs as the default. On your guys' laptops that I installed today, it was the black and white, was the default. So that's the first one that'll pop up. I just had the department chair from Ocean Lakes High School email me today. Dave, what's wrong with Kurzweil? It's not working. I can't open up the PDF. I can't do anything. He had his computer re-imaged and the CRS put it back on, but put it back on as the Learning Station, as the default one. And he just was logging into the wrong one. I told him to choose the other one, and he thought I was a miracle worker. But,
All right, so you guys can go ahead and click onto yours. Go ahead and click on the Kurzweil. It'll look like this up here on your, whoever it's installed. And then your username is just simply your network username. Whatever you use for your email or to log on, that's all you do.
And your students would want to use their student ID, because what the network is going to do, if you've never logged into it before, it's going to say, if you want to save settings, you're going to say yes. That means you can go to any computer now that has Kurzweil on it, and when you log in with your username, your preferences come forward. So the reading voice that you want, the speed that you want, how much you want to see it, how much of the view you want to see it. So all the customized things go and get automatically set up on that computer. So the students want to use their student ID in here. If it
So we're
says,
creating a new account?
correct, you hit yes. It means you've never logged into Kurzweil before. Every one of your students will have to say that too, yes to creating a new account. It's 2 gig in size. It's a huge program. It takes a while to run. It doesn't work well at all on the minis because of the size that it is. But you'll see by, really this is a software package with a lot of other software built into it. It has the American Heritage Dictionary built into it. It has a lot of other things built into it. This was designed to be a classroom of the future software where it has everything at one spot. One-stop shopping.
Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is teach you how to do the basics of it, which Mr. DeCant said it will read a text out loud to you. So you guys are going to do this too, so watch what I'm doing. So you're going to go, when you get there, I'm going to go to open, and I'm going to go to sample documents. Then I'm just going to do this one. Okay. So once you open a text, it'll look like this. It should look like this on your computer. Alright, so it'll go all the way down to however much of the text you choose, that's what will pop up.
Kurzweil looks at that picture of that document and it says, I found a letter way over here to the left, I found another letter way over here to the right. Blow it up so that I can see the whole sentence, I can see both of them. So it's not shifting as it's reading going down like this and getting your motion sickness. So this happens to be blown up to 174%. That's why you can't see this big old picture of this condor sitting over here on the side.
So it's only going to recognize the words. Alright, so the basic of it is, if you were just going to input a text and you want your students for read aloud, you just simply you would click the read button up here.
Saving the California.
Alright, so I have it set up right now for self-paced. So there's different versions you can do. So if you want it to be continuous, you would just click continuous and then it would read on.
Condor by Elaine A. Richmond.
It'll just read the entire
It looked like
text.
extinction for the California.
Now, if a student is taking a test or something, then you would want it to be possibly the self-paced. That way, they can pick and choose when they want it to stop. So you can pick and choose by this. I would choose by line, because if you choose sentence, it could read a whole paragraph, because the sentence could be very long. So I would choose by line. That way, it will read specifically line by line, and the student will be able to process what it's reading. So it'll be like,
Condor.
and as it's reading, it will highlight whichever line it's reading. And then it'll also highlight the exact word that it's
Only
reading.
24 remained alive. Was this species doomed?
And self-paced is good for like exams, so that if it reads the first question, and it gives you a chance to think about it, because otherwise if it's continuous, it's just going to go right on to the A, blah, 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 B, blah, 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 and start reading it. So they step through the test, so it gives you better comprehension.
Now, let's say if we wanted to, if a student didn't know what a word was, let's say they didn't know, they would just go to definition.
You got to choose the word, yeah.
So it chooses the word almost. So
It's
it'll,
where it ended at. Yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead and close that out and just
Okay.
click on the word you want to know, like extinction.
So if I
It's
clicked
on that top first sentence.
I'll just click species.
Okay, species. Just click on it.
Yeah.
Now you hit definition.
All right, so then it'll tell you the definition of it.
And it'll read it to
Can
you.
you turn that like on and off?
Yes, there's test taking. In the test taking, you can turn off these kind of features, so you can lock it out.
Are you gonna also pronounce the word for you?
Species.
And that's real human voice. That's not computerized voice. What you're reading up there now, when she reads it by Julie, is digitized voice. That's a real human voice of all the words that are built into that dictionary. So sometimes you'll come across, like if you do Richmond, click on Richmond, that's the person's name. It's not going to be in the dictionary. So when you hit pronounce, go ahead and hit pronounce this time. It's going to not found in the dictionary. So there are real human voices for people that have auditory processing disorders. Their real human voice comes across better for them.
Also, if they're having a hard time pronouncing the word, they can click on the syllables and it'll break down
Yep, choose the right word, yeah.
the word specifically.
she,
And it'll break down how it's pronounced.
Which is really good in some science classes where the kids have a hard time saying the words.
Alright, and then as Mr. DeCamp was saying, there's different voices you can choose from. There's all these voices. However, the best ones would be Julie or Paul. I personally like Julie, that's why I have it set to Julie. But if you choose Paul, it'll be a man's voice.
species doomed?
The other ones, as he was training me, they kind of jam the computer, so.
They come with Microsoft. They come with the operating system. They're not what comes with Kurzweil. Microsoft Mary will lock it up. If a kid chooses that and it stops working the voices, it's because they chose Microsoft Mary. Those are all really, really old voices that are very robotic.
So the best ones are to choose would just be Paul or Julie. Then if they wanted to highlight certain things, like I would click on the yellow thing. If you were like, all right, highlight for this, they can go through and they can the students can highlight whatever they want to highlight for main ideas. So that's just the basics of doing the Kurzweil. So now why don't you guys go ahead and take a little time to practice on your own, and then we'll see. Just with the basics, just play around.
Extraction afterwards, or you
Yeah.
can show extraction? Okay.
Afterwards.
How do I load a file? How do I load that?
All right, so to load the file, you go to Open,
It should be it should have defaulted to sample
and you go to the
documents.
sample documents.
And Condor is the one that she's doing.
You can pick any of these if you wanted, but the best one is,
Yeah.
or Horse's Tail, that one's kind of good too.
If you wanted to convert one, if you had a PDF on your desktop, you could convert a PDF into Kurzweil. What you get from your Xerox machines is PDFs when you email them stuff. Has everybody done that already? Knows how to send themselves an email to the Xerox?
No.
You go to the Xerox machine and that's what the teacher's guide shows you how to do. Teacher's guide walks you through the
You've
Xerox
done that
machine.
just follow the panel, basically.
Yeah.
And by default, your Xerox machine will only send it to you at 300 dots per minute, 300 dots per inch, DPI. You can choose, there's an OCR, scan for OCR. It's a higher resolution, you get a better scan. And if your master copy is off a little bit, even crooked, Kurzweil will straighten it up automatically.
Yeah, he's very smart.
One of the best things to use Kurzweil for as a teacher, and this is not even for students, is when you get a kid that comes from out of state or from a different school district, take that IEP, put it in the Xerox machine, send yourself an email copy of it, open it into Kurzweil, then Kurzweil finds all the text into it, copy and paste it into Synergy, so you don't have to retype the whole IEP into Synergy.
That's genius.
It's very smart.
Ocean Lakes High School had a 25-page Puerto Rican IEP in Spanish, and Kurzweil could convert between different languages too. So they scanned it in with Spanish, converted it to English, and it gave them their whole class. And now they understood they were having the Spanish teacher do everything for them in that regard.
He just brought up a good point. Some people, like Mr. Hudak, you do a lot of with the ESL students. Let's say you have someone who may not, know English. You can go to the translate up here.
You gotta highlight something for you got it.
Yeah. And then you will pick whichever language you want. Which language do you want, Mr. Hudak? Japanese? That's not
Yeah,
good. Only 6 languages will fit up here. So let's do Portuguese. All right, then you hit translate. You have to give it a minute to think because it's going to translate this section here.
And then
All right.
read it.
And then you hit read, and it'll read.
Parecia extinção para o condor da Califórnia. Apenas 24 continuavam vivos. Foi a espécie condenada.
So that's if you have someone,
All the foreign languages are very robotic. There's none.
Yes.
Only the English, even throughout the rest of the world right now. If you guys were in Portugal, the Kurzweil voice is not designed. It would be that voice is what you'd be using, because they don't have a good high quality voice other than the English voices that they use.
All right, do you guys have any questions so far about how to do the basics, the reading, the definitions, any of that stuff? No?
This is designed for high cognitive ability, low reading skill. So this is designed for a kid that's in 11th grade, reading on a 4th grade level, but he can comprehend on the 11th grade stuff if it's read out to him. If he's in the 11th grade and he's working on a 4th grade level and reading on a 4th grade level, this is going to do nothing for that child. So if you reading aloud means nothing to this child, then computer reading aloud isn't going to do any better than that.
How do I get the 3rd and 4th toolbar?
You got to click on that on the color. Click on the color.
I'll come help you.
Side note,
Yeah.
the most foreign languages we have in Virginia Beach are Spanish, Tagalog, which is, there's so many variations, in Vietnamese.
Right.
Is there any way you can get those languages? Or?
No. Where you can scan into that language, there is hundreds of languages you can scan. So if you have a Vietnamese document, the computer will look at the picture and find the Vietnamese letters that are on there. Because if you were using English, you would only find the few symbols that might represent a letter E or I or something. But to get it to read, no.
Okay.
Those are the only languages that you have available.
Alright, so now that you guys have this, I already have scanned a lot of documents myself, so let's pretend that you've already scanned a document. So you would go to open.
It's got a talking calculator too.
You go to wherever you keep your scanned documents, like I keep mine on my desktop, and I would do Article 2, and I'd hit open. So this is if you're scanning your own document in. You have to give it a minute to think.
So you scan it, you mean photocopy?
So scanning in, like, yep, you're sending it to yourself as PDF. Now this is the important part. Let's say you want to chunk an assignment, or maybe the story is 22 pages long. Well, you only want to do 10 pages that day. Break it down because it will take a long time for it to download into the system. So for this case, I want it to be pages from page 1 to, I'm going to say 3. And then I hit OK. And
Down at the bottom left, it's going to tell you what it's doing. See?
so it's how many of it is in progress.
You'll see it straightening it up if it needs to be straightened up. On the Xerox machines, if you lift the lid, that's a new document being emailed to you every time you lift that lid. So if you have a novel that you're scanning for a kid because you want them to be able to read the novel, which it's better to burn a tree and to put it down and make a Xerox copy of the whole thing, then put that book into the automatic document feeder, then it'll send you one file that's 40 pages long versus 40 individual files for each page.
And 40 emails.
Yeah, so if you lift the lid, it's a new email.
Alright, so that was the basics. Now I have this in here. I'm going to teach you guys how to do some note-taking while using the Kurzweil, or you can turn it into a test while they're reading. You can turn it into a writing assignment. So first off, we'll start with making an outline. So how you can do this can be good for any inclusion classes, even for history or science. I know that you guys do a lot of read aloud. You might want to let Mr. Fabian in on this one. So first thing you'll do is, the yellow highlighter is always the main idea. So you may want to tell the students, explain the different colors. Yellow is always the main idea. So you'd say, all right, let's highlight for the main ideas. So I may highlight, I'll highlight this. Oops. Okay, there we go. Alright, so I'm going to highlight 13 prompts. Do you know what? Okay. So that'd be my main idea. And then the green and the blue and the pink, they would all be the supporting ideas. So next I may say, do this bullet and highlight this one. And then
highlights like this.
Blue, I would do this.
Blue's the sub-supporting details.
And so forth. So then, after this, you have your 3 things highlighted. You simply go to File, and then you go to Extract, and then you want to go to Extract, Notes, and Highlight. And then after that, it's going to tell you to bring up all these. So you can change any of the stuff that you want. You can have an outline be, I like letters, so I have it in the alphabet, or you can do Roman numerals, bullets. We'll do bullets right now. And it's going to tell you the yellow, highlight, the green, all that stuff. Okay? And then if you have footnotes or any color notes in there, take it out. But we only have highlights right now, so it's only going to take the highlighted portion out. So then you hit OK. Alright, so then this would be my main idea. So this could be like a writing prompt if you had an essay or whatever, a story they're reading. So that'd be my main idea. and then it breaks it down like this.
And that saves as a Word document if you want to give it out. So it's a quick way to give a kid a guided set of notes to what you're going over, or for them to practice highlighting notes out and extracting what they think is important out of the reading.
Where did you start with that?
Alright, so I'll do that again. So you're going to go to the highlighting. So I'm going to delete this because I don't want it. Alright, so yellow is always the main idea. So anything you want them to highlight that's the main idea, they highlight it in yellow. You just click on the yellow highlighter and you highlight. Alright, and then when they want to go to the supporting idea, green, and then so forth to the blue and pink. Alright, and then after that, give me a wait. Alright, then you go to File, and you go to Extract, and then you go to Notes and Highlights, and then you hit OK. Yeah.
The student's guide walks you through each one of the toolbars. So it gives you notes already on each of the toolbars. Plus, if you go to the help file, there's online videos for every bit of this. So you can choose online videos for highlighting, and it'll walk you through a video of it. So the kids can do self-paced learning on it.
Also, if you work in column notes, instead of doing that, you can just, since this is already highlighted, you can go over here to the column notes, and you click on your column notes. Then you hit OK for new, and
You could extract to those. You could do 2 column note taking here. She'd have to drag and drop things down to build the 2 column notes or the 3 column notes by default. But she could have went up to File, Extract to 2 column note taking. So you go ahead and close out the columns
OK.
and go up to Extract. Same spot where you went before, except this time the second
Okay.
one.
Oh, and I will take everything that's already highlighted.
And it brings it in right like that. So you got Cornell notes right off the bat. If you
So-
want to get rid of that 3rd column, you right click on it and say hide the 3rd column.
And then again, this can be printed out or turned into a Word document, so they can always have it as well. So do you guys have any questions about how to turn it into notes? No? Do you guys want to try that one on your own really quick?
Yeah.
The highlighting and then putting it into, you can do 2 column notes, or then you can just do the bulleted notes, or however you prefer to have your kids take notes.
Is 8 pages gonna take a while?
Yeah, I would change it.
So maybe just,
All depends on how fast your computer is. We do all the textbooks, like the new language arts textbook is 1,700 pages long, and that took all
Well,
day
the supporting,
to convert
so
that.
you forgot, so the green's always going to be the supporting idea, so if you want that,
And that
you
was
always
a
have to highlight it in the
350
green.
megabyte file.
So if you go back and highlight in the green, if you exit
There is
that,
an error for starting the Red Cross in the United States.
this
Thank
is,
you.
right, highlight
Red
in
Cross helps people today.
highlight
Chapter
in it.
3, clarified 13.
We can get all the textbooks already in Kurzweil format from the state. The state sends it to us in PDF, and my office converts them over
Alright, now
into
it's
Kurzweil.
file.
And we have most of the textbooks already done. The only way you can get a textbook, though, from the state is filling out the Chafee eligibility form, and that's done by the child's physician. So you have to give the form to the parents take it to the family physician, and the family physician has to verify that either they have organic dysfunction, which is LD, a physical disability, or visual impairment. And then we have you guys, once they return that form, they upload it into historical documents and center generate that child's name. Once it's been done once, it never needs to be done again. So if we have a kid that did it in elementary and that form is in there, when he comes to high school here, we're allowed to get textbooks from the state as long as that document has been filled out once. But in order to get them, we have to have that form.
The rights and
How did I get,
responsibilities. Tina is said when her best friend
I
moves
got
away.
Save, well, at least I thought I could, you can save out audio from this, right?
Yes, you
Yes.
can make an audio CD. You can also put it on an MP3 player like an iPhone or something.
Okay.
Also, if you want it, if a student had a hard time getting their thoughts on the paper, they could record in the voice section, and then you could hear what their ideas were, if you needed to. All right, so that's how you the note-taking portion works. Now, one of the very cool things that I like about this is you can create a quiz within the document, because I know a lot of our students have a hard time comprehending, so they read a huge long story, and they have to go back and answer 5 separate questions on the stories. But you can, I'll show you an example on how.
So if you have the accommodation chunking on an IEP where the kid needs his information chunked, this is a really good tool for performing the chunking of information.
So, if we were to use, where's the horse? Okay. So this is how you do the bubble notes. It'll show up like this. So it'll show up as a question mark, and I'll show you guys how to do this. So this is a horse's tail, and then before they read,
Reading.
it'll
Think
tell
about
you.
who is telling the story.
You create the bubble, and it'll have a little pre-read for the students. That way they know what to look for when they're reading, and they hit OK. So anytime there's a question mark, there'll be a question. So this would be like an embedded quiz. So let's see.
Go up a couple of sentences above it so you'll see how it automatically brings it up.
Oh, does it?
No, yeah, like go to, just hit the sentence above and start reading from there.
Okay.
Yes, a person that doubts that he is fine to see.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Should see him in his beady buckskins, on my back and his rifle peeping above his shoulder, chasing a hostile trail, with me going like the wind and his hair streaming out behind from the shelter of his broad slouch. Yes, he is a sight to look at then, and I'm part of it myself. Click all the descriptions that apply to the statement. Soldier Boy describes Buffalo Bill as being short, slim, the bravest.
Alright, so then that would be like the quiz. Instead of this being at the end of the story, it'd be in the middle, and then they would just pick, and then they'd hit OK, and then whatever
I am
their,
his favorite horse, out of dozen.
whatever their answers are, you can have their, whatever they pick for their answers, you'd have them at the end.
When you extract, just like extracting notes, when you extract the highlights, that same button, extract, up at the top it said notes, and it'll show every one of the notes and their answers that they chose for it. So it's really good for like an ADHD child that's attention span doesn't go long enough to make it all the way to the end. You can embed questions or ask for comprehension as you're going along. And I guarantee you'll get better results and test scores when you chunk it into there like that.
So how would we get those results?
Go ahead and
Like,
show
would
them.
they-
A file extract. File extract.
Okay.
And extract notes and highlights, top one. And then uncheck bookmarks and highlights. And go ahead and hit OK. And it shows you, makes a document for you, a Microsoft Word document, that has all of the answers in it.
So I picked short, yeah,
And now you print that off.
and then that would be the quiz.
So even if you had say this was a long story, and they have a bunch of questions through it, they could hit save, come back tomorrow, open that same document up, continue on. It keeps all your notes in that file the entire time. So it could be a work in progress.
Alright, so how do you install the bubble notes is, I'll just put a bubble note in here. So then you'd go to your tools.
Yeah, click where you want it first.
So you go to your tools, and then you go to
Nope.
the notes, and then you go to the add a bubble note, and then you can choose. So I like the cloud one, but we'll do bubble. You can choose the shape. I'll do cloud. And then you can have it small or large. You choose your option, and then you can have it be. Let's say you want it to be multiple choice. You have your multiple choice, and then you would type your question, and these would be the answers here. So.
Yeah, and when you want to, you would, at the open options, see how go way at the top up there.
Where?
Right there, right there.
Where?
You want it to open up when the word is read. If you made that box a little bigger, you'd see that's open before the unit is read. That means it would read that question before you even do any pre-reading. You want the middle one, open when the word is read. So that word that she clicked onto, that's where the bubble note's going to go. When that word is read, the bubble note's going to pop open and ask the question. If you want to make more than one answer for the multiple choice, that little red arrow right there by your hand,
You just
that
keep on
creates
going down.
more boxes.
So if you want to have 4, you have the 4. So let us make up a question over here. All right, so then you can preview it.
What is his name? A. D. D. D.
All right, then you hit OK, and now it would be popped up right here. And if we did the read,
What is his name?
both I put it here so it's
A.
gonna pop up.
D. Soldier Boy privately to himself.
It's a good thing to put summary reviews in there with that. So you would put it at the end of the first paragraph, and you'd say, in your own words, what did the paragraph you just read tell you? And let them try. So you're getting some comprehension out of them the entire time, and they're having that comprehend. Now you print off those bubble notes at the end. They've made their own notes for that reading because it's in their own words. They've summarized that entire reading because you've chunked it by paragraph or by page, making them do the summary while it's fresh in their mind. And the great thing about Kurzweil that is not good for read aloud that teachers typically do, where I sit in front of a class, you're all my students, and I do the read aloud for all 8 of you. Well, I'm at my pace,
Right.
I'm at my speed, you're shy, so you're not going to raise your hand because you didn't understand me to have it reread again, you're just going to put any answer down you want. But if we all had laptops sitting in here and you had headphones on, you could reread that question 100 times yourself until you do understand it. You could slow it way down to 120 words per minute because your processing speed's a lot slower than what the teachers. How many teachers do you know actually slow down when they're reading? They won't. They're going their normal rate of reading. So we assume the kids are going to understand. I talk fast, but you talk faster than I do. So it would be difficult for them to comprehend that.
So why don't you guys go ahead and try and make some bubble notes in your document, and then we'll go on from there.
What is this story about? Walkway Bunnies. Bound for Tale 2. Hispanic Heritage Month. 1821. She. What is this theater about? In. Massachusetts.
You can use CodeWriter within this too, so the two programs can work together.
So you go over here to tools.
No?
You're gonna go to note and then bubble. And then you can start typing. You type your question in there, but if you want it to be a multiple choice question, whatever the case is, you have to go hit multiple choice. Or you can do true or false.
I mean, this is the type of, when the kids get the read aloud or the audio online for SOL testing, like this is what.
This is different. We get a lot of elementary school teachers that want Kurzweil to practice their kids on the read aloud. This highlights as it reads and goes. You cannot turn off the highlights. That's the one thing they ask. The SOLs sit at the top and read all the way to the bottom like a teacher's reading over top of their shoulder.
Yeah.
It reads the whole page, and if you ask to read it again, it starts at the top and rereads the whole thing over again. Kurzweil doesn't do that. Kurzweil highlights as it reads along. So it is different than the read aloud on the SOL. It's better than the read aloud on the SOL. The child knows exactly where they are. There is a lot of studies done with Kurzweil that it improves reading skills. Because it's kind of like your mother sitting on a lab going, today we're learning about, and they're pointing out the words. So you're mastery learning. I may not know the word soldier when I see it, because I don't know how to say that word, especially a word like soldier. They'll chop the pieces. But if I see it and hear it, I have a better chance of comprehending it.
So basically with the bubble note, you can use it for having a quiz throughout, or you can have them summarize, leave little notes to the students about what they're reminding them what they're supposed to be doing while they're reading.
One of my high schools took a room like this, put 20 laptops in it, one TA in here, and it's their reading lab. So every read aloud gets sent down to there, and she has a scanner set up in there, she scans the stuff immediately for the child, and they sit and read it. That's the way they did it because they were running out of TAs, and they didn't have enough to read aloud. The ideal way is to have this on a laptop cart, and have like every laptop cart have the first 5 or 6 laptops have Kurzweil on it. The kid stays in the general ed history class, puts on his headphones, and takes the test with the rest of the kids. That's the ideal way to run it. This high school is not doing it that way just because they were so overwhelmed with read-alouds. They needed to do something right away, and that's how they chose to
That's
do
a
it.
good idea. Alright, so now, sorry, go ahead.
Do these student laptops have this, have Kurzweil?
We just installed it on this one student laptop.
We can install it on any laptop in the building, on any computer in the building. We have all the licenses come from downtown. So this is just a client that we're installing. Kurzweil can't do anything outside this building now. So if you put it on a laptop with a kid going home, because he has an IEP that has co-writer or something else where he has an issued laptop, the only way we can do that is if we issue a license to go. That means we take one of the licenses off the server and we put it onto their laptop so that they can take this book home and read it now at home. We only do that though, you realize we only have 300 licenses for the entire city of Virginia Beach. So we only do that on the rare kid that is, my first student 16 years ago, this has been around for a long time, this software has. He was Plaza Middle School, self-contained 7th grade, been there, self-contained all his life. He had 126 IQ, and he was reading on a pre-K level. It was truly dyslexic. And when he had the robotic voices on his, we first gave it to him, he thought this was the best thing since sliced bread. And he went all the way through graduate, he went full inclusion at that point, was at his senior year of high school getting ready to get a full diploma from his high school, got his girlfriend pregnant, and dropped out of school. He went back the next year to the Adult Learning Center and got his GED. But this was a kid that was never going to have his GED. He couldn't do anything on reading-wise. And so he uses this as an adult. It's that type of kid that we will issue a license to go on. Not every kid gets an issued license to go.
And then you hit after that.
And when we do issue a license to go, it gets put on as an accommodation. Access to a laptop with scan and read software gets put on as an accommodation. It's just not a read aloud. You can convert this document into an audio book right now. When you go to File and you go to Audio, you can create an audio file from this. And you decide what voice you're using, how fast you want it to read, and it will make an MP3 or a WAV file that you can convert into an audio CD.
Because I've been doing some of those reading done.
And you're legally allowed to do that for any of your kids that you want. If you don't want to give them a license to go, because they really aren't using it, you can make them an audio CD or make them an MP3 file that they can put on their cell phone or they can put on their iPad, whatever they have. You can give them that audio file because they have that disability. You're within the copyright law for a teacher of record to adapt their curriculum to meet the needs of their child, period. But I can't do it for you. It has to be the teacher of record. That's why the state requires the Chafee eligibility form to be signed by a doctor, because they're a third-party person converting it for us.
Alright, so the next thing that is really cool and I'm excited about, and this can be used a lot in a resource or you guys can use it, anyone can really use it, but it's the writing tool on here. So a lot of students have a really hard time organizing their writing or figuring out how to write in general. So that's when you go here, and let's say you know what kind of a...
Blue toolbar.
So go there. You
Blue
go to the,
toolbar.
Yep. Fill a piece of paper.
yep, you go to the piece of paper and then you click on it. And I like personally the from template. So let's say you go there and then it'll come up with whatever kind of essay your student is going to write, it'll pick it out for you. So a lot of, I teach 11th and 12th grade, so a lot of us, we're writing a multi-paragraph essay. And most of the students should be doing that or do that. So then you go there and you hit open, and it'll have this all mapped out for you.
You can add more to it if you want. That's that brainstorming palette is over there. So if you want to you can move things around, she can grab hold of the idea and spread it out wider. You can, this just makes a quick one for you.
So, basically, if this were a multi-paragraph essay, this would be my title, whatever. This would be my introduction paragraph, and then my 3 bodies would be here, idea 1, 2, 3. And then the elaboration, how I'm going to elaborate on that idea, would be paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3.
And if you guys teach a certain language of how you do your outlines, like you did, go back up to the top, I mean slide that slider back up to the top so I can see the main idea and title page.
Okay.
You called that something else, didn't you? The title thesis? You
Well,
called
I
it
want
something
introduction
else.
paragraph.
Right, so if you want to change it, you could change that and save the template in your guys' vernacular. So if you're saying
Yeah.
introductory sentence all the time, that way
Yeah.
all the teachers are saying the same thing and they don't get confused.
Yeah, so if you just click on it in here, you can just start typing and it will.
Inspiration.
It is inspiration built in. It's really what it is inspiration built in. But it does a little bit more than inspiration.
What's inspiration?
It's inspiration is a graphic organizer that most high schools have a site license for.
I used to use it to cheat when some of the, and none of those teachers are here anymore, but when they used to require them to write the formal outline, I used to let the kids do this, and it had a button you could click and it would change it.
Inspiration was designed for the
Roman
boardroom,
numbers
for
and
people
Roman
brainstorming
numerals and
ideas at a boardroom. It really wasn't meant for kids to be used, but it does work well for
Yeah.
kids.
So this is something that you could do as a class. Not everyone in the classroom would need a computer. The teacher could just have it on their laptop. You're up here in the Promethean and you're navigating them through.
Go ahead and step them through each of the, so this is the brainstorming phase, then you click the next little piece of paper.
All right, so if you click the next one, which would be this yellow piece right here, it would kind of how Ms.
Yeah,
Bean was saying, whatever you put in, it's going to put it into that formal outline for you. So it'll break it down. Multiple paragraph essay, you have your title. A is your intro. Then you have your idea 1 for paragraph 1. Like me, if I were doing this, I'd probably change this to paragraphs.
Some kids may prefer just to use this and not that brainstorming because it's too overwhelming for them to have all the colors and everything else aside. But even if you edit something in here, so like if you change elaborate to something else, you start filling in stuff, when you go back to brainstorming, it'll bring you right back to it and show you both views. So
that's cool.
then go to the next one.
Okay.
So now this is the split screen view. So you have your outline over here. You're going to start writing your paragraph over here. You can drag and drop things over.
Yep.
So you're dragging and dropping to form your paragraph now at this point.
Oh, if I had something typed in. And then, so that's the cool part. And so you drag and drop to create the paragraph, and then the
Type in
students
more, and you just keep going.
can
And then
add
that
or...
final piece of paper, go to the next piece of paper, is your draft view. So whatever you had dragged over there is now going to look like your Microsoft Word.
Also, as a student is typing, let's say they're typing their paper and they have a hard time. A lot of students don't go back and reread what they're writing. They don't know what it sounds like.
Listen to it.
Yeah, so if I
Yeah.
say,
Chewy.
Cool.
oops,
Hey, N is
Amber, you spelled
I wonder if I was going to say my name right.
Ambra.
Oh, I did.
Now put punctuation in.
Hey, my name is Ambra.
So it reads, you can choose in options, tools options, how much you want it to read. You can have it read every letter if you want to. If you have a really, really low kid in a functional class that's working on their letters, you could have it just work on letters. But typically it's by each word. So hey will be done when she's done with the word hey. My name is, and then when you hit punctuation, it rereads the whole sentence back to you. So they're hearing back what they think they're writing. And they'll say, that doesn't sound right, and they'll go back and edit it.
And it has
In
spell check?
Yeah, it has spell check built into it. And then the final one, when you click here,
Yeah, that's the one I'm in now.
is now you're looking at it and you have a checklist to review through. So they go through and they listen to their work. So if they follow this whole process, they should really have a good paper by the time you're done.
Yeah. So basically, like I know a lot of students, they turn their paper into me and they don't read things out loud, they don't know where punctuation goes. This, they can do it, type their paper out themselves and then get headphones, listen to it, go back and fix whatever needs to be fixed and then turn it in a better written.
Right.
And if this is a research paper, Kurzweil will also read the internet. So if you say read the web, it'll open up Internet Explorer, which is not a good one for reading. It doesn't work well with Internet Explorer. And Kurzweil even tells you it works best with Mozilla Firefox. So if you have Firefox, Kurzweil actually makes a toolbar called the Kurzweil toolbar that pops in so you can click when you want it to read, so you can research the internet by reading about stuff, copy and paste into your work, and develop a whole research paper and have everything read to you without a resource of a teacher having to read aloud for you.
Will it like recognize bad words?
Yes,
So
it
if I
does.
typed in a curse word now, will it?
Yes,
Will I just
it
see
will.
the
It will
students?
do curse words.
Can I try? I'm just gonna try one just to
He
see.
just
It will.
bite me.
Yeah.
Is that
He just did bite me. Shit.
Oh.
See, it does. And you'll get some kids that'll sit there and perseverate on
And
that
I'll
all day
probably
long.
just type
Well,
in cuss
adults
words
Yeah,
all day long. Yeah.
yeah. And there's no. It is garbage in, garbage out. Okay.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's just a talking word processor at that point.
So why don't you guys go ahead and try and create a notes outline?
You want to show them
Go ahead.
that little genie ball. That little genie ball. How many of you guys are familiar with Co-Writer? Word prediction. That genie ball is Kurzweil's version of word prediction. So it pops up. Now type the letter T.
So we'll start popping
Just start,
up.
yeah, type the letter T. No, in your paragraph.
Text, yeah.
T.
Don't do a space.
Yeah.
Okay, now stop. It highlights in yellow homophones so that if the word, now just click on that.
There, relating or belonging to them.
Wow.
They put their boots in the closet.
And it gives them a real sentence and a real usage of the word. This was their
over there.
boots. It gives them a real sense for it. So it highlights commonly confused words and it gives them a definition so they use the right context.
So a lot of students, mess up on their homophones. So go ahead and try and make a notes outline.
It
Right
also, on that genie ball, it also has, scan this page in. So like the Condor page, if you have a reading for Condor, it'll look at what you have scanned in, and it will add those words into the dictionary that it doesn't already have, like the word Condor.
She sounds British.
Alright, so go ahead and try it out. Remember to start, if you want to do all the steps, it's all highlighted. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the steps are there right for you.
Hi, Richard Hudak. Hi, Richard Hudak.
So if we want our class to be able to do this, like if we pull 6 kids out to write a paper,
Right.
we need to get this installed on a laptop.
On a laptop card. You really do need it on a laptop card if you wanted to do this as a class.
Or you can. Oh well.
Like, then you're not, like, we have a paper
That's like
coming out.
individual.
Right. But it might be awesome to lead
Right,
through
it's
it.
like,
Well, you could lead with the
My
Promethean board
self-contained
and have them follow, just like you guys
Especially
are following
as the
along
board.
right now.
But we still
I
would
would
need a laptop card.
7 laptops. How fast do we get this on the card?
It,
You have to do that.
I have a bag of jump drives. It takes about 15-20 minutes per laptop. And if you guys want to coordinate with your CRS, I can come out and we'll need a room like this with a fully charged laptop card, take them all out, turn them all on, and then I just put jump drives in and I'll do the whole card at once, if you want to do the whole card.
Yeah.
I know Salem Elementary School wanted me to do every cart in their building, and it just is not feasible. They re-image laptops way too much. And I can give the CRSs the silent install that we have, so that CRS can install it via the network anywhere they want it at. But on a big, huge laptop card, it's just easy to take the 20 jump drives and put it in and do it, because it is 2 gig. So you think about copying 2 gig from the network, it takes forever just to copy it down to run it.
So,
But
alright, so I know that time is running out, but we went over a lot of things quickly, so if you have any questions, you can come see me. I'll go over things. So before you guys leave, could you please fill out this little exit ticket, just the 3-2-1 that we commonly use in class. 3 things that you learned today, 2 things you found interesting, and then 1 question that you still have.
is there any functional features in here that teach the functional? Yeah, that picture dictionary can be helpful too. It puts a picture above each of the words as it goes along.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Believe it or not, they use Kurzweil quite a bit in the ID class. You really do.
I know a couple words.
Yeah. You can do the internet reading too. If you can talk to your CRS about getting Mozilla installed, it is far easier on Mozilla because it puts its own toolbar in Mozilla.
Right.